What if your entire life was a carefully engineered illusion, and everyone around you was part of the script except you? For decades, millions of people watched The Truman Show as a brilliant piece of science fiction, a clever story about television, fame, and the limits of entertainment. But what if the film was never just fiction? What if hidden inside its production, its symbolism, and its disturbing themes, there was a warning about a world that was still being built? This is not simply the story of a man trapped inside a television set. This is an investigation into one of the most prophetic movies ever created. A film that predicted the rise of surveillance culture, the collapse of privacy, the transformation of everyday existence into content, and the invisible systems that shape what we believe to be reality. Behind the bright colors of Seahaven Island, behind the smiles of its perfect citizens, and behind the cameras hidden in every corner, lies a question that became more terrifying with each passing year. Are we truly living our own lives? Or are we performing for an audience we cannot see? The Truman Show was released in 1998, before social media, before influencers, before people voluntarily shared their thoughts, relationships, fears, and identities with millions of strangers across digital platforms. Yet somehow, this film exposed the architecture of a future where the boundaries between authenticity and performance would become almost impossible to recognize. But the deeper we investigate the making of this movie, the stranger the story becomes. Why did its creators design a world that feels less like a fantasy and more like a psychological experiment? Why did audiences around the world connect with Truman's growing paranoia so deeply that psychologists later identified a real phenomenon connected to the film itself? And perhaps the most unsettling question of all, was The Truman Show predicting the future, or was it revealing a system that had always existed? A system hidden behind the walls of our own perception? Tonight, we open the forbidden archive of The Truman Show. We examine the hidden messages, the disturbing production decisions, the philosophical influences, the psychological effects, and the secrets behind a movie that may have changed the way humanity sees reality itself. Because once you start questioning the walls around Truman's world, you may begin questioning the walls around your own. And before we go deeper into this investigation, I need to know something. Have you ever experienced a moment when reality suddenly felt different? A moment when you question the systems around you, the routines you follow, or the invisible forces influencing what you see and believe? If this investigation is already making you look at the world from a different perspective, leave your like on this file. It helps this hidden archive reach more investigators who are searching for the stories that exist behind the official version. And I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever felt like Truman, as if something about the world around you didn't completely make sense? Comment below and tell us your experience. Your perspective may become part of this investigation. And if you have just discovered Shadow Reel, subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications, because this is only file 003 of our journey through the movies that didn't just entertain humanity. They challenged the way we perceive reality. Now, with the archive unlocked, it is time to go beyond the screen and examine the secrets hidden behind the creation of The Truman Show. Now, with the archive unlocked, we can finally step behind the perfect walls of Seahaven and investigate how one of the most disturbing reality manipulation stories in cinema history was brought to life. The first hidden layer of The Truman Show begins long before the cameras started rolling. It begins with a simple but terrifying idea. What happens when a human being is transformed into a product, and his entire existence becomes a performance designed for an unseen audience? Released in 1998 and directed by Peter Weir, The Truman Show starred Jim Carrey as Truman Burbank, alongside Laura Linney as Meryl Burbank, Ed Harris as Christoph, and Natasha McElhone as Sylvia. On the surface, it appeared to be a satirical science fiction drama. But behind its bright aesthetic and artificial paradise was a dark investigation into surveillance, control, false realities, and the invisible structures capable of shaping an individual's perception of the world. What makes this film so unsettling is the precision with which its creators constructed Truman's prison. Seahaven was not imagined as a traditional dystopian world filled with violence and destruction. It was designed as a beautiful illusion. Every street, every smile, every conversation, every friendship, and even every moment of love was carefully written by someone else. The greatest prison was not made of walls or chains. It was made of comfort, routine, and a reality that had never been questioned. This concept became even more frightening as the years passed. Decades before social media turned ordinary people into public personalities and daily life into a continuous broadcast, The Truman Show explored the disturbing possibility that the line between authenticity and performance could disappear completely. The production itself embraced this voyeuristic sensation through unusual camera perspectives, hidden angles, and visual techniques that made the audience feel less like spectators and more like participants inside Christoph's giant experiment. In a way, we were watching Truman, but the film was also watching us. Because the most forbidden question hidden inside this cinematic file was never whether Truman could escape his world. The real question was why everyone outside his world was comfortable watching him remain trapped. And if this part of the investigation made you question the nature of reality, leave the word "awaken" in the comments and mark your presence inside the Shadow Reel archive. But the deeper we enter the classified archive of The Truman Show, the more we realize that its greatest secret was not the giant television set or the thousands of cameras hidden around Seahaven. The most disturbing element was the philosophical question embedded at the very heart of its creation. What is reality when everything we know has been carefully designed for us? The original screenplay was written by Andrew Niccol, a filmmaker known for exploring themes of artificial control, human identity, and technological influence. His first vision of the story was even darker than the version audiences eventually saw. The early script imagined a world with a much more oppressive atmosphere, where Truman's environment felt closer to a futuristic nightmare. However, director Peter Weir made a crucial creative decision. He transformed the prison into something beautiful, peaceful, and almost impossible to reject. And perhaps this was the most brilliant and terrifying decision behind the movie. A prison covered in darkness invites rebellion. A prison covered in sunlight makes its prisoner feel grateful. That idea became the psychological weapon of Christoph, played with an almost unsettling calm by Ed Harris. He was not a traditional villain who hated Truman. In his own mind, he was a creator, a protector, almost a god controlling a universe built according to his own rules. The name Christoph itself sounds remarkably close to Christ, an intentional choice by the filmmakers that adds another symbolic layer to his character as an all-seeing creator watching over his own manufactured world. The production design reinforced this disturbing illusion. The filmmakers chose the planned community of Seaside, Florida, as the primary location for Seahaven, a place whose immaculate streets, perfect houses, and carefully organized appearance created the sensation of a reality that was almost too perfect to be real. The result was a visual paradox. The more beautiful Truman's world appeared, the more disturbing the truth behind it became. When The Truman Show reached theaters on June 5, 1998, many viewers saw it as a powerful satire about television culture. Yet, with the arrival of reality shows, social media platforms, personal branding, and the age of constant digital exposure, the movie gained an almost prophetic reputation. It no longer looked like a warning about a possible future. It looked like a document that had somehow leaked information about the world that was coming. And this is where our investigation enters an even deeper and more controversial chamber of the Shadow Reel archive. Because after the film was released, something happened in the real world that nobody involved in the production could have predicted. Some people began to believe that their own lives were secretly being filmed, manipulated, and broadcast to unseen audiences. A phenomenon so disturbing that psychologists would eventually give it a name. The next file inside this investigation reveals the moment when fiction escaped the screen and entered human consciousness. And this is where the investigation reaches its most unsettling discovery. Some movies leave a mark on popular culture. Others predict technological changes, social movements, or new ways of thinking. But very few films become so psychologically powerful that they give a name to a real phenomenon observed by mental health professionals. Years after The Truman Show was released, psychiatrists and researchers began describing cases of individuals who believed their lives were secretly being recorded, controlled, or broadcast as part of a hidden entertainment program. This phenomenon became known as the Truman Show Delusion, a disturbing example of how a fictional story could become the language through which some people interpreted their own experiences and fears. Of course, this was never evidence that Truman's world existed in reality. The true mystery lies somewhere even deeper. Why did millions of ordinary viewers around the world immediately understand his fear of being watched? Perhaps because The Truman Show touched something ancient within human consciousness. The fear that our choices are not completely ours, that the reality presented to us may be incomplete, and that behind every visible structure there may be another layer we have never questioned. In the decades that followed, the world moved closer to many of the themes explored inside this cinematic file. Cameras became smaller and more present. Personal moments became public content. People began creating digital versions of themselves for an invisible audience of followers, strangers, and algorithms. The greatest irony is that Truman spent his entire life fighting to escape a world where everything was recorded, while modern society voluntarily opened the doors to a reality where much of everyday life is shared, observed, and transformed into information. And maybe this is why the final scene of The Truman Show remains one of the most powerful moments in the history of cinema. Standing before the artificial horizon of his world, Truman makes the ultimate act of rebellion. He chooses the uncertainty of truth over the comfort of a beautiful illusion. That was never just the ending of a movie. It was a question left for every person watching. If someone removed the walls surrounding your reality, what would you discover on the other side? File 003 is now closed, but the investigation continues. If this archive made you question the nature of reality, right, there is more. In the comments, and join the investigators who are exploring the hidden messages, forbidden stories, and reality-changing films inside the Shadow Reel archives.